Hello，各位大家好，歡迎嚟到美港天下。今日有三上同大家嚟到訪問。We have Burton Brink. Thank you very much, Burton, for coming
Yeah,
to
thank you for
have
having me.
interview. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. So we know that there is an upcoming election in February 15th.
Yep.
Can we call this a special election or a secret election?
It is a secret election. They quietly announced it on December 10th, thinking nobody was going to really pay attention because it was the holiday time, Christmas, New Year, Valentine's Day, and they were trying to secretly bring in a person unopposed to run for state assembly. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to control Sacramento, and the problem is when they control Sacramento, you don't have a voice. The people of our community don't have a voice, and that's why they've quietly tried to put in this election without anybody having to have anybody going against them. So they brought in somebody. They actually moved somebody into the area, Mike Fong, into the area to run for state assembly to replace Ed Chow, and now they have somebody, myself, who's not only grown up in the district and worked in the area, who's now running for state assembly for that seat. I've been part of this district since 1967. I grew up in Arcadia. I went to Arcadia schools. I went to the Arcadia Police Department where I started my career as a young adult, 14 years old as a police explorer. And then I came to the Monterey Park Police Department, and I was here for 6 years as a reserve officer before coming to the Sheriff's Department, where I completed my tour there with the working the cities of Rosemead the majority of the time, but also Temple City, San Gabriel, South El Monte area, and the portions that are right bordered here to Monterey Park, and Temple City, Arcadia. All of these areas were in my district, working for the Sheriff's Department, here protecting our community the entire time, dealing with the criminals that are out there. And we have somebody that the Democrats are bringing in here who has not done anything for your community, our community, has not done anything to stop crime. He's done more things to maybe raise money as a trustee for a college. And, I want to make sure that we have representation in Sacramento, because right now Sacramento does not have representation. They have politicians that are up in Sacramento that are doing what they want to do to control your life and not give you the freedoms. That's why we're here. That's why people come to America, was to have some freedom so they can do stuff with their businesses. But right now the politicians want you to work for them as opposed to the politicians working for you. This is public service. People will need to understand that. Me, as a police officer, I work for the public. Therefore, I help you, right?
Yes.
The politicians are also public servants, and they're supposed to help you and represent you. They're not doing that. And I have a problem with that. And that is why I'm running. I want to make sure that our community, it doesn't matter if you're white, it doesn't matter if you're Asian, it doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, it doesn't matter what you are. We're all part of the human race. And we all need to have somebody be our voice in Sacramento for our freedoms, to give us lower taxes, to protect us and make sure our police have the equipment that they need. The fire department has the equipment they need to protect us and for our safeties from fires and things like that. And not the politicians who are trying to get their wallets fattened by special interests and projects, pet projects like a train to nowhere that we have, still paying billions and billions of dollars for. These are the problems that we have, and this is what the audience needs to understand, the community needs to understand, is they have to make sure that they vote for someone, not for a race or anything like that, but for the people that are going to represent you. And that is where I come in. I am one of those people that will represent our community no matter what race you are. I want our businesses to be successful. I want taxes to be lower. I don't want us to be overtaxed. I don't want us to get businesses that are being forced to leave the state of California because they cannot afford the regulations and over-regulating that California and Sacramento politicians are doing to us. That's how important it is to make sure that people realize that the special election is not just February 15th when you vote for me and elect me, but we also have the June election and the November election to re-elect me after I get elected in February.
Why should we, Chinese and other racial and interest groups, vote for you versus voting for Mike Fong?
Well, so a lot of people think just because I'm white that I don't understand the Chinese culture. Well, I was married to a Chinese woman. I have a Chinese son, a son who's half Chinese. So I've been part of this district since 1967. That's a very long time, 50 plus years being part of this district, watching it grow. I've had friends growing up that were Asian when I was in high school, junior high, elementary school, when I was growing up in Arcadia. Still live in Arcadia. I'm still here. I'm still part of this. And you want to have someone who's representing you that's been part of the district, not somebody who just came in to, quote, represent you. You want someone who's here, been here, grown with the community, and is still here to fight for what the community needs. So again, it goes back to, it doesn't matter what race you are, it's who's going to represent you and be your voice in Sacramento. And right now, we don't, in our community, our district here, we really have not had a voice. Ed Chow has not been a voice. He's been a voice for the Democrat Party, and he's a puppet for the Democrat Party. And Mike Fong, he's the same thing. He's an empty suit. He has done nothing for the community. He hasn't protected the community. He hasn't lived in this district until just recently. How does that represent the people who live here? Just because he happens to have an Asian name? That's not how you vote. You need to vote for the people that are going to fight for you and be your representative to make sure that you are safe, that you have quality of life here, that the police are able to protect you. To force a district attorney that we currently have that's not enforcing the law, making the criminals have more rights than you and I. We need to protect ourselves, and that we need to have that voice in Sacramento.
What do you think the challenge of this special February election is?
I think the challenge is because it is a special election, people aren't paying attention to us. It came out during Christmas time, New Year's time. The next big holiday we have is Martin Luther King weekend, and then we have, we also have the Chinese New Year, right. And then we also have Valentine's Day. So where's people's focus? They're not. We don't have elections in February, so people aren't paying attention to that. They'll get their mail-in ballot that Newsom's now giving everybody a mail-in ballot. They're going to look at this and go, "What election? Oh, that's in June," and they'll throw it aside and never even vote. Not even realizing that this election is about a month away. The ballots will come out in less than a week. So people need to pay attention. That's a real big thing. That and getting a message out to the voters. Voters are just like, oh, well, I'm just going to vote for, like you said, just the Asian name or the Democrat. But they're not realizing what the actual situation or problems are that are in our district. And that's why you need somebody who's been part of the district, who has protected the district, who protected our community all these years to represent them, because I know what's going on in the district. I know what crime is happening here. I know that our zero bail is causing more issues. I know our businesses are being broken into and having issues with keeping the bad guys out. And if we can't prosecute these people and hold criminals accountable for their actions, then we have lost quality of life and we've lost our voice up in Sacramento.
We don't have our rights to protect our grounds, so can it be undone if you're elected?
Yeah, well, so you would have to come up with legislation to have a castle doctrine or something similar to that to be able to protect your home. You do have the right to protect yourself, and if someone is attacking you, you can defend yourself. The problem is you may be able to defend yourself, but then you're going to have to defend yourself in court. And with the district attorney we have now, Gascon, he is not going to be your friend if you're trying to protect yourself from being injured. So, we need to make sure we have things and laws that are there to be able to protect us and to protect our homes and our businesses from this type of situation. So I am a Second Amendment right to bear arms. I am a lifetime member of the NRA. I believe that we should be allowed, if you have no criminal history or anything like that, to be able to carry a concealed weapon if you are trained to do so and you have the insurance to do so. If you have that, you're able to protect yourself, and these bad guys are going to think twice about taking you on because they might, that person might be armed. They're trained. They're going to be defending themselves. I'm going to go look for that victim that is easy and looks like I can win, as opposed to somebody, if they saw me walking down the street, I'm 6'1", I'm a pretty big guy. They might think twice about it. But if they think I'm armed, they're really going to think twice about it. And that's what we need to do. We need to be able to protect ourselves. And that's the right that's been given to us in our Constitution. Our Second Amendment right is to be able to defend ourselves and the right to bear arms. And for people who are saying that we have a gun problem and that type of thing, well, you're right. We do have a gun issue, but we have plenty of gun laws already on the books that need to be enforced. And when you have criminals that are using a gun in the commission of a crime, robberies, shooting at you, those type of things, and you have a district attorney, like the current district attorney, who is not enforcing those gun enhancement laws. So what I mean by that is if you are arrested for using a gun in the commission of a crime, the district attorney in Los Angeles County is not adding any additional time because you used a gun in the commission of the crime. Yet they want to take your guns away from you. They don't want to take them away from the criminals because they keep taking all these crimes that criminals are using guns for, and they are not enforcing those and adding more time to people's sentences. So they're not being held accountable for using a gun. But you, as a law-abiding citizen, you can't have your gun, you can't use your gun, they want to take away your guns, and therefore you've lost your right to protect yourself. I have a problem with that. And I think every single American and patriot here needs to realize that we have that right, and the government shouldn't be taking it away. That's why it's in the Constitution, so that the government doesn't take it away.
Our Chinese community is totally hurt by the current Democrat policies, who are made by the people who are in Sacramento right now, such as the no bail, the Proposition 47. I know that you're gonna repeal Proposition 47. Can you tell us how can it be done if you're elected?
Sure. Well, actually, I would be an extra voice in repealing Proposition 47. Assembly member Kevin Kiley currently has a bill that he's trying to push through to repeal completely Proposition 47. That would get rid of the everything that had anything to do with Proposition 47. And I would also be one of the voices to help push that legislation through. And getting rid of Proposition 47 will fix a lot of issues that we have. You used to be able, if you went into a store, a criminal went into a store and stole $450 worth of items, if they went to $451, it would be a felony. Well, now it's up to $900. Well, I don't know about you, $900 is a lot of money for me. And what do you think of all of our small businesses that have $900 taken from them, or $950 taken, it's actually $950, taken from them, and that criminal gets arrested and is right back out of jail an hour later with a ticket to go show up to court another 4 to 6 months later, if they show up at all. They know that the chances of them getting caught are very rare at this point because nothing's happening to them. Therefore, crime pays right now. If I was a criminal, I would know, hey, I can do anything I want because really I'll spend a night in the jail at the most, and then I can go right back out. I'm going to make $950 each time I break into a store. Every single business, we're on Garvey Avenue right now here in Monterey Park. At every single business, I can steal $950 from that business, $950 from that business, $950 from that business. There's 3 separate cases. I can do all that, and I might only get caught for one, never get caught on the others. And businesses right now are not even calling that these things are happening. So these smash and grabs that you see that are happening in our community and all over the community, all over the state of California, is because they know that they can get in there, do these things en masse, and go out, and they're not going to get caught. Very rarely are they getting caught right now. And that's a problem. Crime is paying them right now. They can go make their money, buy their drugs, do whatever they do, and these career criminals will continue to do that. People make mistakes, we understand that, but these are not people that are making mistakes. These are deliberate acts because they know they can get away with it. Mike Fong has no answer to that, right? He's not going to know what to do and how to stop it. So that's why we need someone who wants to protect our businesses and make sure that we have teeth in our laws to protect us and protect our quality of life here. That's why a lot of people have come to California or come to America, so they have their freedoms. They've left communist countries so they can have freedom, so businesses can be successful. Yet, for some reason, they keep voting, and the Democrats right now are doing basically going in a communist route. with their policies. And people left communist countries to get away with that, to get away from that. Why would you vote for that? Why don't we vote for the freedoms that you came here for? That's what I'm here for. I want to be your voice for your freedoms.
So we have audience asking questions about how jobs and economy will be improved if you're elected.
So it all goes back to the policies of restrictions and those type of things that are on the businesses now. Our businesses' hands are tied. For you to start a business here in the state of California will cost you 2 to 4 times more money than it would in any other state in the United States. Why is that? We have so many regulations and restrictions and red tape that is hurting businesses from opening. This is what people come to America for, is so they can have their own business and be successful. And yet California is basically stopping you from doing so. I want to get rid of those regulations. I want people to be able to come to California. We're losing businesses now. Everybody's leaving, taking their businesses with them. We've got large corporations that have left and taken their tax money with them. Why don't we attract people to come to California, make this the state that you want people to come to with their businesses, not send them away. We have to cut down the taxes. California is the most taxed state in our country. How is that helping our communities? How is that helping our low-income families? Our low-income families are having such a hard time finding jobs or being able to keep a job or work enough hours. They got to put 2 or 3 jobs just to pay the high taxes and costs of living in California because of all these regulations. These regulations have caused the high price of California for properties, for our products that we have. Our health insurance is high, our car insurances are high. All of this is because of the regulations that are put on by the state of California. We need to reduce these. We need to reduce our taxes. We have a $31 billion tax surplus here in the state of California. That's 2 things that cause that. 1, overtaxation. That is a huge thing, and if we are being overtaxed that much money, then that's money that's taken out of your pocket. The politicians don't care about that. They want to take your money because they think they can do it better than you can. I'm sorry, I think we, people, can do it better than the politicians can. So that's what we need to really concentrate on, and that's how I think we can help the jobs and economy, is by reducing all these regulations that is happening to our businesses and attract the businesses here, not have them leave the state of California. You got to remember, when they leave, they're taking their tax revenue with them, and that's what hurts us, because if they're not contributing to California's tax situation, then California's lost all that tax revenue, and so they're going to put more taxes on you to make up for that difference and that loss. We need to fix this.
I think I've asked most of our questions. I actually have one more question. This is a very touchy one, though. California voters were well aware of this situation. In this case, it's 49th Assembly District. Could the election be corrupted? Well, and how are we going to tackle that as California voters?
So, the problem we have in California is, I believe we should have voter ID. Votes should be done by the citizens of the United States. Same thing here in the state of California. When we basically have allowed anybody to sign a document that says that they can vote but don't show an ID, then we have an issue. Now, the other side will say, well, that's discrimination because low-income families don't have a government ID to be able to vote. Therefore, but they're now citizens, so you've taken that away from them because you're making them show an ID because it costs money to get the ID. Okay, well, that's really simple. Why don't we just give them a free government ID to show that they're a U.S. citizen so that they can vote? Now they're not out any money at all to vote, and that takes away their argument about it being unfair to them. That means all you have to do is, if you're a U.S. citizen and you're here legally, you can go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, get your free state ID, and take that, do your voter registration, and when you go to vote at the voter polls, You get to show your ID because it didn't cost you any money to do so. And we have programs to get the handicapped there and those type of things. Yes, there are some people that will never be able to go to the polls. We understand that. Yes, you can use the mail-in ballots to do so. But there's a plan. We need to strip clean our entire voter rolls and start fresh. If you're a citizen, let's just re-register and do it. And you should do that anyway to make sure that your information is correct in the voter registration. So it's really not that big of a deal to fill out the form and do that to make sure that we have really secure elections. And I think that's one of the best ways to do that. And, I know we're getting to the end here, but, I think people need to understand the United States was based off of Christian principles. God-loving patriots that are here with our families. We got to make sure that God is still part of our country and not thrown to the side. We have children that are being thrown away that shouldn't be thrown away. There's many people that would love to adopt children. And I'm a pro-life person. I believe that, if God has invented this life, then we should be allowed to keep this life. These are things that I think are very important, and I really think this is something very important in the Asian community, is because they've been so restricted from having how many family members they would like to have. Why should that be restricted? I'm against abortion. I don't think we should have that. God gave this child a life. If it's somebody that you don't think that you can take care of, there are people that will take care of that child and adopt that child. So these are things that need to be taken care of and looked at throughout the United States. California really has a problem here, and we're basically disposing babies, and I don't like seeing this. We really need to take care of our children, and we really need to take care of our families. We've got, a district attorney who's not prosecuting victims, child abuse victims, not being their voice, basically letting people back out who shouldn't be out. We have, a district attorney who's not representing the victims in the courts when their criminals are coming up for parole. Police officers who get killed, their people are coming up for parole, and the district attorney is not there to be the voice of the victims of crime, victims of murder, because I think people have forgotten what life is all about, but we also have to keep people accountable. And right now, life is not being accountable, and criminals are not being accountable. And we need to make sure we do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.